In this video, I'm going to tell you the one thing you must not do if you want to be a successful trader in 2024. And if you don't know who I am, my name's Dan Heskett. I'm a mindset and high performance coach, and I specialize in working traders, taking them from 5 to 6 figures, 6 to 7, and 7 and beyond. So into the video. Now, I want to start by telling you a story about a trader I worked with several years ago. He came to me and he said, you know, Dan, I've noticed something, that when I'm looking at the younger guys in the office, the younger traders who've only been doing it for 2-3 years, they have a level of dedication. They have a level of studiousness where they always do the small things. They always write down every single trade. They always take notes. They're always trying to push that, find that tiny 5-10%, that small thing that'll make them a little bit better. And he said that even though he'd been trading for 10-15 years at this point, he knew that if he went back and had that same level of intensity and did the same things that those junior traders were doing, he would make more money. So we decided to run an experiment, and we asked him to jump in and try and pretend he was a junior trader. Start writing down all his trades, do all the things that he essentially did to get him where he got to. And what we found is that he radically improved. He started being far more successful in what he was doing, and the reason for this was simple, and it's that pros never don't do the basics. So I want to tell you a story, and something that I find very helpful as metaphor is that oftentimes people think that success is kind of climbing up a mountain. You start and then you get a certain way up, and then you stop, you take a break, you eat some food, whatever, and then when you feel like it, you just go up to the next part. But actually it's not like that. It's actually like wading through quicksand. You've got to get to where you want to go. And if you stop, you don't slightly backslide, you don't fall down the hill, you don't stay stationary, you die, you sink, and before too long, inertia creeps in and it gets from bad to worse and you die, you're out the game. So, and this is also illustrated by another story about Warren Buffett. Many years ago, when he was playing golf on a golf course, 5 fairly wealthy businessmen found him, and they decided that they wanted to do a bet with him to try and find a way to make some money from Warren Buffett. So they said, okay, Warren, we've all decided we'll chip in $20,000 each. So our $100,000, you bet $20, and if you get hole in one, we'll pay you that $100K. And Warren Buffett thought about it for a second, and then he looked up and went, no, I'm not taking that bet. And one of the guys decided to be brave and speak up and said, but Warren, you're the richest guy in America. $20 is literally nothing to you. Why wouldn't you take the bet? It's just $20. And Warren Buffett looked up and said, well, I thought if I wasn't going to be disciplined in the small things, I wouldn't be disciplined in the big things. And to me, that really sums up why someone like Warren Buffett is as successful as he is, because he understands that in the way he does one thing is the way he does everything. Another example you might see is in football matches. So you might see 2 teams in the FA Cup, one who's a Premier League team, a really big team, and one who is a lot smaller and lots less successful. They could be 3, 4, 5 divisions lower. And when you see the good team, the team that should win because they've got superstars and they're worth maybe 500 million, the team's worth, or £1 billion or whatever, there's 2 ways that those teams approach those games. One is that they just try and do the minimum. They don't go all out. They don't really try and win that much, but they just, they try and win 1-0, 2-0, and they get the job done. The minimal effective dose necessary to beat that team. And then you see the other ones, the true champions in my book, and they're going to try and win 10-0. They say, we've got the skill, we've got the ability, we're going to destroy this team. We're going to absolutely make their lives living hell, and we are not going to take no for an answer. We're going to take every possible inch they give us, every opportunity, every shot, we're going to go for goal. And I strongly believe that that second team that tries to win 9-0 is going to be a much better place to win the big trophies, to win the FA Cup, to win the Premier League, to win the Champions League. And the reason is this. It's been clearly proven scientifically that if you if you go to the gym and you don't, and you work out and you're sloppy towards the end, maybe your technique isn't quite as good as it should be, or your form goes downhill because you're tired, then next time you come to the gym, even if it's 2, 3, 4 days later, you're going to have the same sloppiness. You're going to bring in bad form. You're not going to be as energized, and you're going to bring that poor performance into your next session. Now, this is because that subconsciously you've set a standard, you've set a pattern. Now what happens if this team, the football team, goes and they play, another top team 3 days later, and now they have to take every opportunity. Now they have to be, not give an inch, have that killer instinct and take every shot. Well, now if they beat the other team 9-0 and they pushed everything, that habit, that mindset has been established. Whereas if you weren't like that, if you were like the other team and you just tried to win 1-0 or 2-0 and do the bare minimum, then you suddenly have to try and force yourself not just to be as good as that other team, but you have to start fighting yourself and start upping your game, upping your level, changing that gear. And that's much harder to do than just maintaining. So actually, even though that team might have thought, oh, we're going to save energy, we're going to conserve energy and not go all out against this lower team, in actuality, it actually costs them more energy and more time. There was a really good quote from a writer and an athlete, which I think illustrated this really well. So he said, I used to be someone who cut corners on what I thought were small things. For example, I would make the bed, but I wouldn't tuck the sheets in all the way. I would clean the house, but not pull the lounge out and vacuum under. I would complete a task 80% of my ability and then stop when I thought it was good enough. What I couldn't see at the time was, by cutting corners on the small things and not doing them to the best of my ability, I developed a habit of laziness and mediocrity. So what this point and what all these stories is getting to is exactly the same thing, that how you do one thing is how you do 10,000 things. And if you want to be successful as a trader, it's really important that there are no days off in terms of taking your foot off the gas. If you're trading, you go 100%. You work really hard. You establish the winning habits, the killer instinct. You push that extra 5, that 10%. You write down your trades. You track things. You make sure that what you're doing is really leading to more intensity. And you're always trying to find, how can I make this slightly better? Is there an edge here? Is there a small way that I can improve it? How do I improve my entry? How do I improve my exit? What gets measured gets managed. This is the famous quote by Peter Drucker, the management expert and theorist, and that's really true with trading. So if you're just going through the motions and putting on trades versus someone who not only puts on the trades but tracks them, looks at the numbers, understands their percentages, yes, over the course of a day or a week you're not going to see much of a difference, but when you look at that result over 6 months, a year, 2 years, it's actually going to be a much bigger difference. So what I want you to think about is, where are some places that, if you're honest with yourself, maybe you've been cutting corners, maybe you haven't had that same intensity, and understand that, what does that day one mindset look like? If you could really push everything into it, how do you make that better? What can you write? What can you track? What can you pay attention to? What work at the weekends can you do to get that edge? I've been very fortunate to work with many 7-figure traders, and what I've noticed is that it's these small compounded benefits over time which leads to the outside results. So where's a place you can have an extra 10%, a bit more intensity, a bit more success? And if you keep asking that question, start writing it down, set a mini target for the week. So maybe say, okay, I'm going to write down this many trades, or I'm going to spend time analyzing them, or I'm going to do this many hours of prep at the weekend. And over time, those small little things that you're working on and improving will compound and get stronger and stronger. And as you continue to have that mindset of, as you do one thing, you do everything, and you take that intensity and that competitive spirit, you'll find that your trading and your success goes from strength to strength. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, ask me any questions. I'll get back to you personally, and I'll see you next time. Good luck. Bye.